Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. John Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So today we are going to talk about Moon Knight, and I'm going to give you a review of the MCU's weirdest project yet. This is going to be a spoiler review, so make sure that if you haven't seen it or you haven't finished it yet, please come back. But if you have, make sure to like and comment what you think down below, and let's get into it. So I actually have a new format for how we're going to do reviews. So here's my criteria: plot, themes, first, second, third act, and as far as characters, protagonists, villain, side characters, and then spectacle, cinematography, score, and action. So with all that being said, let's get into it. So overall, I think the plot has strengths and it's got great world building and mythos as far as building up the Egyptian gods, and it does a great job of building up Mark and Steven. I think they do an extremely good job with that. And there's a lot of good twists and turns that keep you on your feet. Like with them being in the asylum and then going back between that um and then kind of the mystery whenever they have to go try to find Amit and they're trying to figure that all out. That's all very good. That's all good. But I think where the show ends up falling a little flat is they would push away characters at key points. Like I think Layla and Mark's relationship is supposed to be kind of a key point, but it gets sidelined for Steven and Mark's relationship, which I'm not necessarily complaining about. But she ends up getting pushed away. In the finale, and Mark, Steven, and Layla are all fighting like henchmen and all that, and above them are two kaiju versions of Amit and Khonshu. I don't really know. That kind of feels like they're kind of getting pushed out of the way. I mean, like Moon Knight is a central character of the entire show when he doesn't feel like the center point of that scene or that action sequence. And I think this also plays into the fact that the third personality bailout, where it was in between Mark and Steven and they wouldn't know who it was just stupid. Always. Um, just the fact that, for example, like the main, like Arthur Harrow is defeated when Jake Lockley takes over and then blacks out. It doesn't show that action sequence. It doesn't do anything like that. I think that's just stupid. That's a terrible, 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 terrible writing choice. It happens a few times throughout the show, and it's okay to set up that third personality, but the way they did it was completely stupid. The themes about mental health and choice and free will, guilt, trauma, all that's super excellent. The emphasis on mental health in this phase in general has been very good, but Moon Knight definitely dives into it the deepest since Mark does suffer from DID. I really think the themes of the show are excellent. The philosophy between Amit and Khonshu is really good, and then when Mark calls out the hypocrisy of Khonshu at the end, when he tells them to kill Arthur, that's super good as well. That's all really good. The themes of the show are really, really strong. So by the first act, second, and third act, I'm going to talk about like basically the third of the episode. So act one, episode 1 and 2. You guys can read so forth. First act, it's a good solid start. The first two episodes are a good setup kind of for the mystery and the intrigue of the show. We're not completely sure what's going on with Steven and Mark. And kind of how are we going to find Amin and all that. So it's okay. It's a good solid startup. I don't really have any big nitpicks with the first two episodes. They're just solid entries. Second act, the middle, I think they do good slash great relationship building for Mark and Steven. Really kind of puts them through the ringer of like control for the body. So I think that's super strong. Layla's introduction is solid. The star scene where Khonshu and Steven, reverse the stars and everything, that's really, really good. Um, I would say them kind of solving where Amit is and all that is just okay. Um, Figuring out what's going on between Mark and Steven is good, but the solving of like where the where Amit's little statue is was just okay. So I think in that aspect it kind of dragged a little bit. I've got mixed feelings about the third act. I think episode 5 is probably the best MCU show episode to date. The exploration of the birth of Steven and how Mark used him as a relief or as a release from all of his miserable childhood trauma, where A, he's responsible for his brother drowning, and then B, his mother literally tells him that Mark has ruined their life, and kind of the origin of how he became Moon Knight and all that's really, really, really good. And Steven falling off the boat and everything like that, and the introduction of Terrorwit, all that. That's fantastic. That episode, easily the best episode in this show, and I would honestly be very comfortable saying that's the best episode in any of the MCU shows so far. Um, the post credit scene also saved the finale, but we'll get to that in a second. The weakness of the show is the finale was very, very, very rushed. Honestly, the finale should have been 2 episodes. There's a clear breaking point whenever there's the shot of Amit absorbing the souls into her body. That should have been the cliffhanger for episode 6, and then we should have had an episode 7 where we wrap it up. There was just a lot going on in the finale, and if they would have just split it up into 2 40-minute episodes instead of one 40-minute episode, I honestly think this show would be a lot better. They would have been able to set up kind of the Jake Lockley third personality thing a little better and all of that, and wouldn't be relying on a post-credit scene to kind of bail it out. And the finale is giving very much CW. Um, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit when I get to Layla. But overall, the finale was just super, super rushed, and so there's kind of mixed opinion on the last little bit of the show. So characters, Steven and Mark are fantastic. Their relationship is easily the heart of the show. They've got a great dynamic. Seeing them go back and forth, like when they're bickering and fighting for the body, but it was so sweet to see them like work together. Steven's confidence after they get out of like kind of the underworld. Um, Steven sacrificed to save Mark. Mark sacrificing his piece in the afterlife to go back and get Steven because he wasn't going to abandon him. Treating an alternate personality in his head as an actual person. That's super sweet. They're fantastic. They're great. Oscar Isaac absolutely acts his butt off. He's fantastic in this. Steven and Mark are fantastic. They're great. Antagonist Arthur and Amit, they definitely give the show some urgency, and Amit's design was good, but admittedly, they're just kind of okay. Their motivation, I mean, Arthur, like, yeah, sure. He just is serving Amit. He thinks Amit's better than Khonshu, and he feels spurred by Khonshu. But Amit, just wanting power over the world, nothing extraordinary, very middle of the road, very forgettable. Uh, Nothing we haven't seen before. Side characters, I think Leia, Khonshu, Terrawit are all super compelling additions. I talked about Khonshu and Terrawit and how I love the world building and the mythos, and I think Khonshu and Terrawit definitely contribute to that. Khonshu's voice was super good. His design was really cool. Him in the suit in the last scene was really cool. Terrawit is super fun and enjoyable. Layla, I wouldn't categorize her in like a Christine Palmer, Betty Ross type of love interest, but I don't know if I'd put her in like the Pepper Potts, Hope, Van Dyne, like critical love interest. She's solid and she definitely contributes to the show in a lot of ways, but she's just okay. And her getting powers at the finale was total CW vibes. In the CW shows, everyone gets powers, everyone's a hero. Layla getting powers, being Terrawit's avatar, total CW vibes. Her just kind of being able to know how to fly and use her wings like perfectly. And I understand she's like has good combat skills, but just be able to learn how to like kind of fly, like kind of just figuring out total 100% CW vibes, and that bothered me, and I didn't like that choice. A spectacle, the cinematography, nothing spectacular. It was solid. The Moon Knight had a really good score, but I want to talk about the action. The action's very, 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 very good. It gave us a top 5 MCU hand-to-hand fight scene. Um, like in the finale when Mark and Steven are like gunning down the henchmen and they're switching between each other, and you can see Steven's confidence through the roof and stuff like that. That's all great. But when but it was but we didn't get it as much as I felt like we should have. And I understand this show ended up being more of a character study between Mark and Steven, which was great and fantastic. And I talked about how much I loved that. But there's hardly any compared to um the finale and the first two episodes in 3, 4, and 5. It's not as much there. Definitely not. And basically every time that the third personality took over, that Jake took over, um, that should have been an action scene. You know, they either should have shown it later on, or my what I'm mainly talking about is like when they beat Hero finally, that should have been Mark and Steven working together and not them blacking out and Jake blacking them out. So not only was it not present as much as I probably would have liked, there were a few clear opportunities where we should have had it and just didn't. So now we're going to rank the 6 episodes. Coming in at number 6 and number 5 are the first two. I don't really have any strong opinions or feelings towards these, so that's why they're going to go towards the bottom. They're very solid, though. Number 4, The Tomb. This episode was really, 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 really tricky. There was the huge twist at the end with the asylum and everything like that. And this is where they solved the mystery where its little statue thing is. So it comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we've got the finale. I think it's got some great payoffs and some great action scenes, but it's way rushed. It's bailed out by the post-credit scene, and Layla getting powers is total CW. At number 2, we've got the friendly type. This scene right here on the top, it was super good. The star scene was super good. We see Steven kind of come into even more of his own in this episode, and it's good chicken number 2. But number 1, like I said earlier, is Asylum. This is just a heart-wrenching episode from start to finish, exploring Mark's backstory and why he created Steven. You know, we thought Mark was protecting Steven, but it was actually Steven protecting Mark. And watching him become Moon Knight when Khonshu first contacted him is super awesome, and it's just heart-wrenching and heartbreaking to watch Steven fall into the sand. Overall, I would say this is the MCU's weirdest, most attached entry yet, with hardly any connections to the rest of the MCU, which is a good thing. Moon Knight's emphasis on mental health, mythology, and relationship building between Mark and Steven keeps the show afloat, but with some poor pacing and odd writing choices with the third personality, Moon Knight is held back and falls just a little flat, but I still really enjoyed it and gave it an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys check out all the linked content, and you guys have a great day.